everyone, and welcome to Sisters Inc. Founders Real Talk Roundtable. I'm Alisa Gumbs, the Executive Managing Editor of Black Enterprise. I love it when we do our Sisters Inc. sessions. Sisters Inc. is our platform for and about Black women entrepreneurs. We always have real candid conversations, and the ladies always drop some gems. Today, we're super fortunate to have two exciting entrepreneurs with us. We've got Dickson-Akpoghene, who is the founder of two different companies, Flat Out Heels and also PopCom, which is smart vending machine technology that's revolutionizing retail. And we also have Esosa Ighodaro, who herself is a serial entrepreneur. She's the founder of Pinnacle, an educational business platform for women entrepreneurs, and the co-founder of Black Women Talk Tech. Ladies, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Thanks for having us.
So I always like to start when I'm talking to entrepreneurs about what I call their founder's story. It's like the how and the why, especially, that you came to do what it is that you do. Esosa, I know that you started out in finance before you decided to become an entrepreneur, and that decision didn't go over so well with your family. You said, you know, your mom was like, we're gonna pray when you decided to quit, you know, a stable job to become an entrepreneur. So why is it that you became an entrepreneur?
You know what, I think ever since I was a little girl, I've always wanted to run my own company and build a business. So for me, being in a company like, at the time I was at Citigroup, it was such a great opportunity, and it consisting revenue, six figures, of course, and all those great perks. I just could not wait for the moment where I can build my own vision. And so it was super important for me to figure out when to pump the brakes, you know? And the interesting thing about it was my plan was stay at the bank for like 3 years, no more than 4 years. I ended up staying for 7 years because that check is consistent. And so I really decided that, okay, now's the time to really jump with 2 full feet into it and start my technology company. And so it was super, super important for me to have a plan before making that transition. But my parents were not on board, which was a little strange because my parents actually were business owners themselves, but they're like, we know what it is, don't come over here, you know, like, but they were really big inspirations for me to start my own company. And so I ended up really taking a page out of their book and moving on and creating my very first company. And at the time that was Cosign.
Dawn, your journey is a little bit different. You've been an entrepreneur for almost 20 years now.
Yeah, it's, you know, I'm a risk taker. So I had my first corporate job out of college, and I only lasted 8 months there before I realized it was time for me to go, and took that leap in 2001. So I am approaching year 20, and I've started 5 businesses. 4 of them are still in business today. And my current venture, PopCom, which I've been in tech. I went to school for tech, and my first company was a tech company. So I feel like all of the things that I have done, except for I have a restaurant, but everything else has been really around tech and just using the skills that I learned to problem solve things that I experienced.
Yeah, PopCom is actually an outgrowth of your earlier company, Flat Out Heels, and you were solving a problem for yourself, right?
Yeah, so Flat Out of Heels are rollable flats for women when our feet hurt in heels. And I thought the best distribution channel, you know, when your feet hurt, you don't have time to wait for Amazon or go to the store. You need them now. And I felt that vending, this was like an idea that I had, that vending would be the best and quickest direct-to-customer distribution channel. And I had never seen many products sold in vending machines. And I thought it would be pretty simple. So I said, okay, I'm going to sell my flat outs in vending machines, also online and in stores, but wanted to just have a, you know, multi-channel opportunity. And, you know, entrepreneurs are kind of crazy because we think of these ideas that they're going to be very simple. Oh, I'm going to just sell it in vending machines. Oh, there's the answer. Obviously, it didn't work out like that. It was very difficult to find a vending machine to fit shoes, to find a vending machine to take credit cards, to find a vending machine to give me data and analytics like I was used to from now being an e-commerce entrepreneur. And so my problem was that even though I was selling shoes, I didn't have any information or any data. no information about customers. I couldn't remarket, retarget. I couldn't send emails. I didn't know anything about them. And I looked around for a couple of years for a software solution or a machine that could give me this information, and it didn't exist. So I decided to solve my own problem and start PopCom, because I realized it was a very big problem. And I have been itching for a big problem to solve. I've had a lot of success as an entrepreneur and made money, but I'm not 100 millionaire. And so I felt that PopCom would be a really big problem. It would take a lot of work, but something that could really create some generational wealth for me and my family.
I love that as a mindset. I've literally never heard anyone say, well, I'm not done yet. I'm not 100 millionaire.
Yeah.
I was talking with a Black woman founder earlier this summer, and she mentioned white male decoys. She said, you know, even though she's the CEO of the company, when she goes on meetings, she takes, you know, a white male decoy with her because she just has a different reception when she walks in the door with a white guy. Dawn, the last conference you and I were at together, we had a conversation about pitching to investors with straight hair versus naturally curly hair. And what I'm trying to get at is that there are a lot of things that Black women founders face out in the world that no one else has to deal with. So if you ladies could share what your experience has been like as a Black woman founder and how you've overcome what can be a hostile tech environment.
Let's start.
Esosa?
Sure. I don't mind starting. So I will say, you know, fundraising is probably one of the biggest challenges that we've seen, just overseeing over thousands of Black women founders in our ecosystem at Black Women Talk Tech. You know, and our mission at Black Women Talk Tech is essentially to help identify, resource, and ensure that the next billion-dollar tech founder is a Black woman. And so one of the ways in how we do this is we really try to figure out what is really getting in our way, how do we best support some of our unique challenges. And unfortunately, because of the intersectionality of being both a Black person and a woman, we have a little bit of a double taxation is what I will say that has been going on. And generally for myself, for my last company, I was able to raise 1.4 million. And it took me years to raise that. And I think for me, I'm probably one of the lucky ones, myself and probably Dawn as well, really have actually raised millions. And it's not easy because the average Black woman actually raises, according to the Diane report, only 36,000 for her company compared to the average white male, which is 1.1 million. And so, you know, you can get a lot further with a million. But we somehow innately, I feel like this is in our DNA, we figure out a way to make it work and have really great traction in terms of building revenue. But when it came to really facing investors head on and letting them know, hey, I have this company and I think you'd be remiss if you didn't invest in it. A lot of things that I found were challenging is that I'd come in and they were still waiting for the founder of the tech company to show up, even though
you were standing right in front of them.
Hello. And I think the whole bias around pattern matching with investors were a real challenge for Black women, right? Because if you're going to pattern match to who you look like, and if we look at who the industry looks like, right, is mostly white males. And so I don't match to that. And so if you're like hoping to like get that Stanford grad who just graduated and has all these, you know, connections, yeah, I don't match that pattern, but I do have incredible, immense opportunities through the vehicle I'm building in the industry. And of course, you don't, if it's about money and making a return on your investment, you want to focus on the idea that I'm sharing with you. But I think what comes across is that not only are we not networked in the same circles, so it's harder for us to find the deal flows to connect with each other and actually invest in, but there is also unconscious and explicit bias when it comes to investing in people of color, to be very frank. And so when you try to navigate through that, I find it really challenging for most Black women to do it that way. So what I found of the ones that have been successful, what they've done is they've either gone through angels or gone through accelerator programs or these type of incubator programs to get connected, and they found some success in terms of getting their first seed funding, just to get it off the ground, or just, build the old-fashioned way through just the revenues of your business. And I know Dawn has an incredible story of being like the first Black woman, actually being able to raise the way that she has been able to do it with equity crowdfunding. So I think there's been a huge change over the last couple of years when it comes to the types of alternative investment you can get to, because it just hasn't worked for many Black founders or minority startups to raise money in general in the ecosystem of traditional VC fundraising and investment.
Dawn, I want to hold off on investing and fundraising for just a minute, because I know we could spend like 3 hours alone just talking about that, but sort of your experience in general as a Black woman tech founder and going out into the world. And I saw you shaking your head when Esosa said, they're waiting for the founder to show up, even though you're right in front of them. What has your experience been like as a Black woman founder?
I was thinking about that when she was talking, and I get this question a lot, and I feel that I agree with, the experience has a lot to do with the network that you're part of, the college that you went to, where you grew up. You have us having access. So a lot of times, most of the time, I don't feel that it's because I'm Black. Like, my experience was like, I need to get into these circles that I've never been privy to. And it wasn't because I'm Black that I wasn't in the circles. It was because I was not aware of them. I didn't go to those schools, and I didn't come from that family, those families. And because there are Black people that are in them. They're a small amount, but there are Black people that grew up in this reality. I think overall my experience was showing that the pattern matching, we're up against the pattern matching, which is understandable. If you're a numbers person and all you know from 30, 40 years is white men who do this thing, and you don't see anybody else with white men, you would naturally say, okay, well, this is who I'm putting my money on, placing my bet on. And I came to the point where, I did everything that I could. I did an accelerator, Techstars, got a lot of access. My first round I raised was from accredited angels, and I felt that I proved everything. And once I got that $1 million plus, and I was like, you know what? I don't even want their money. I would much rather create wealth for my community and for my friends and family, my real friends and family, and people that know me and support me. Because essentially, when you take an investor, giving them an opportunity to invest in your business, it's an opportunity for them to generate wealth with you, alongside you, and profit from your work. And I said, why would I beg them for me to give them an opportunity when so many people would love this opportunity that they're acting like they don't have time for? And so I raised my first $1 million because I wanted to be in that first group of us, the first 25 or the first 20 or whatever. It was like, I did it because everybody said we couldn't do it. But once I did it, I was like, why do we even want to do this? I'm not doing this again. And I started looking for another way.
Okay. A different founder spoke to me about the team that you have around you. And she is also a serial entrepreneur, much like you ladies. She was talking about the fact that she feels like she got it right this time, in that she has a team of co-founders who get it, even though they're not Black. And she doesn't have to explain it to them, which is a whole benefit in and of itself. And especially this year, where every week there's another thing in the news, and the situation in the country is so significant that it bleeds into all of our work lives and workplaces. When you ladies were putting together your team, did you think about or were you intentional about bringing in people who could really have your back and support you, and not just that they had the technical experience or the financial knowledge or the marketing knowledge that you needed?
I can answer this. I wanted to first address a little bit, real briefly, about the founder that had the white man in the meetings. I would never, ever consider bringing a person in the meeting to represent me or to try to create an illusion. I wish we didn't feel that we needed to do that. We don't need to do that. And I want us to stop doing that. When it comes to the team, hiring for culture is important. And I think everything you're saying is around culture fit. And culture doesn't mean color. It means the environment. Startups are fast paced. They're very unorthodox. you know, things can happen. You can run out of money. There's pressure. If you're used to a very strict by the book corporate environment, startups aren't going to be a fit for you. So we definitely do hire for that culture fit, and then say, okay, of who we know that can fit into this environment. And then keep in mind, yes, I am a Black female founder, so there's a lot that comes along with that as well. The perception, right? And so once we hire for culture fit, can you fit this environment? Do we get along? Do we vibe? Is there a good energy between us? Now let me see your, you know, the skills. And then that's how I built my team out. But definitely the support, because we call it the launch team. You know, I'm a single founder, solo founder. So I don't have any co-founders, but I certainly have my launch team that are getting us to this point. And sometimes the people that get you to one stage aren't the ones that are going to get to you to scale. It's also important to understand how far you see that person going with you.
I would definitely agree with Dawn in terms of making sure you have the right people that fit your culture. And I think that's very hard for people to kind of understand, like what culture they bring into the table. But I think it's important so that you can oftentimes go to a place faster because you guys have the same kind of frame of mind and can at least, you know, interject or create some great ideas together without constantly, you know, bringing down the morale of the company or what have you, because it really sucks when you have the wrong hire, and it's very expensive because you not only picked the wrong person, and so you paid for that, and then you have to do all this rework, and you did all that training for 6 months. So it really, you lost money, you lost time, and now you still got to replace that person. Right. And so it's so important to better understand that. And for me, I actually did have a co-founder, mainly because I'm a non-technical founder. So Dawn's got it all. She's got the wits, she's got the tech stacks and everything to go with it. For me, I knew I had the vision, but I didn't have the technical expertise. So I thought for me, it was super important running a tech company that I have to have someone doing some type of tech, or at least solve for that piece of it. And so while my co-founder originally was a technical co-founder, and then I built for all the most important things that I needed in the first 18 months, because each level of your company, you'll decide what's important for you, and then you add those skill sets to your team. So it was super important for me to do that, especially early on when you don't have a ton of money. So I had to trade like equity and just really sell the vision, because I think when you're the founder or the CEO, you're constantly literally selling the idea and impact to everyone, not only just your customers, but your team, your investors, all around you. So you kindly have to do that with the person you're kind of bringing on early on and give them an incentive to stay, even though if it's not money, it's equity or an opportunity to have a certain title, right? That will help them in their next level of their career, or whatever that is for you.
Well, you do also with Black Women Talk Tech have co-founders, two co-founders who both happen to be Black women. What has that experience been like?
Oh my gosh, so it has been incredible. When I tell you, I've never actually had an opportunity to co-found an organization with two other Black women before. And mind you, our meeting was pretty unorthodox because we were literally met on a lunch line at another event. So we didn't know each other from a can of paint and said, hey, oh my gosh, you're building a technology company? What are you building and how can I help? And decided to go from there. And we really had the alignment of a mission that really pulled us forward. And we both also had very strong, and that's the culture thing, where we had a very strong understanding of what we value and what our mission was, which is to help people who look like us, Black women, succeed in building the next billion-dollar tech company. And what does that mean, right? When you invest in Black women, you invest in that community. And we'll see not only an economic advancement in our community, but we'll see ourselves more and more in the space to really actually muscle move and push economic and political agendas. And so it was super important for us to really be able to support our community and connect like that. Because we didn't even have it for ourselves. It was like, do you know any other Black women tech founders? We looked around the room and we're often the only one. Can you imagine being the only chocolate chip cookie in the cookie? It's a very sad cookie. You know what I mean? So we were really excited to be able to come together and create this really incredible atmosphere. Dawn had the opportunity to actually speak at one of our earlier conferences. It was incredible. She tore up the stage. And so we were super happy to see her do that. But you just see a whole sea of Black women really building the next $1 billion company within their industries. And it was just incredible just to see that and be a part of that success. So it was definitely my first time, and I will do it again and again.
John, one of the many things you've made news for this summer is that PopCom acquired Whizzer, which is a survey software company, but is also founded by another woman of color. And so I know that it was the right business move and it was a good marriage in terms of the companies, but, was it also a bonus that you were able to, have this marriage of two, female founded tech companies?
Oh, definitely, for sure. Natasha has been a friend of mine and a mentor since we met 2016 at CES. She's Indonesian. Everyone always thinks she's Black because her co-founders for Wiser were Black, and she's always with everyone Black. But it was just, she's like in our honorary Black founders group. But it was just refreshing. Like I said, I didn't have a co-founder, but she founded Wiser, and we side by side were growing our businesses. And when we were thinking about just growth, she's a new mom, and I said, well, I would love to have your talents on our team, and Wiser is a great product that PopCom already uses. Natasha had been a formal advisor of PopCom since 2017, so she already had equity as an advisor. It just made so much sense. She was a part of the team already. The whole team knew her. She was always around, and she always contributed. So it just made so much sense to take those CEO responsibilities away from her and let her focus on business development, because she didn't really have the team she needed to grow. And PopCom's team growing so fast, and we have more resources with the recent round that we closed, it just made sense to come together.
Esosa mentioned tapping into the ecosystem, and that's one of the reasons that Black Women Talk Tech was founded, in order for Black women founders to be able to have a safe space and discuss the unique challenges. If there are women who are watching right now who don't know how to get plugged into the ecosystem, what's your advice for them? Either one of you.
Go to Black Women Talk Tech. That's mine. I have my bag that I carry. It says, this is what the next $1 billion founder looks like, or $1 billion CEO looks like. I have that bag. I got that at Black Women Talk Tech. So there's definitely one, but there are many other great resources, including Facebook groups that exist, many. All you have to do is go to Facebook and just literally type in Black founders. It'll just be a list of them. There's so many Slack groups. I mean, I talked about last month on Twitter about there was a day when there was a handful of us. I mean, really 2 handfuls of us going to conferences. Now there are thousands of Black founders. I don't even know everyone. It's hard to keep up. So there's a tribe in every city, I'm sure, but you can find that tribe online if you just take the time to look, and everyone is always so willing to help. Everyone, we work together, we share each other's things, we're in groups, the visible figures together, and I mean, the resources that are shared in that group is phenomenal. So people just need to just take the step and reach out to the community.
I totally agree with Dawn. Of course, Black Women Talk Tech is literally created with you in mind. So we literally designed it so that you have all the resources you need in one place. We have a newsletter that comes out every 2 weeks that has a list of several opportunities. One of them was just last week, we had Samsung Next and their corporate arm wanted to invest in Black women tech founders. And so they wanted us to find a group of women who are ready for investment. And we were able to match over 24 women who were looking, and they were ready today in the face of Corona to get a check. And so it was a great opportunity to do that. And we do that pretty much on a monthly basis. And also informally, just from a funding perspective, and then also just all the different resources that are sent to us to make sure that our community hears about, whether it's a accelerator program, or, you know, free help or free access to credits on several different products and platforms to help you build your business. So we're always here to help. We have also over 10 local ecosystems across the country and one in London. So if you are in any of the ecosystems, you can check online at our website. You can kind of tap in there. We have at least a meeting a month where you can connect. And also there's a lot of groups on, like meetup groups. There's so many meetup groups you can go and check out. There's, if you're in the New York area, there's something called Gary's Guide, and they have a whole bunch of resources in that. If you're on the West Coast, there are way too many things over there. So I know you don't need help on that side. It's usually Midwest and everybody else that needs the help. So definitely just go ahead and lean into all the resources that are out there, because there are plenty more now than it was surely when Don started, and surely when I started in like 2012. And it was like nothing sauce. So here you're in a place, this is the best time to start a company. Like, please go out there and get into your tribe.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap up, we have a couple of questions from the audience. Both of you ladies are serial entrepreneurs. What did you learn the second or third or fourth time around that you wish you had known at the beginning?
That's a good one. Go ahead.
I was like, my number one go-to for a question like this was like, please, 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 please try to figure out 3 ways not to spend the money. So myself, when I first started out with my first company, I came from banking. So what we did was just, oh, what's it cost? Oh, here's a check. We paid so quickly to everything so many times that I'm like, I wish I didn't pay for that. And I thought about 3 ways to have a free resource so that it actually doesn't matter, right? And so I think it's super important that you go out and figure out how to get it for free, how to barter it, or figure out just something where you're not having to pay. If you're doing a technology company, if you can get it up and running underneath 6 weeks, that's a special magic sauce. If you can get it up and running under 6 months, even 6 months is probably the latest you could want to do that. So make sure you get it out. Don't make it perfect, just make it enough so you can iterate on the product and get the feedback from your customer base. But those are the main things that I learned from the first business and the several other businesses that I'm building to date that were so important. And I realized were the main things that could have made it much faster for me were mistakes I did in the first time.
Those are good ones. I'm going to use that too, because I mean, definitely spent way more money than ever needed to spend and just didn't know. And a lot of people are very predatory towards new founders, startup founders. They know you don't know a lot and they'll definitely take advantage of that. So on top, coupled with what you said, I would also get a mentor right away, an advisor right away that can help you with the specific areas. I have an advisor for every single category of my business. So like a technical advisor, a hardware advisor, someone that can advise me about legal. Like, so we have, I mean, so many advisors and mentors that are so helpful, and they just help to reduce the number of mistakes that I make. And then also just trusting myself. You know, I think that we often, since we don't have a lot of experience in entrepreneurship, we trust other people's opinions and advice and judgment based off their experience that may not apply to us. And sometimes we'll feel that in our gut that we should do something, but we'll go against our feeling. So I'd say I would tell myself to always trust myself. I live by that now. But in the early days, in my early 20s, I didn't think I knew enough to trust myself. But we have that voice in us, and that intuition is there. You know more than you think you know. So definitely trust yourself.
So our last question is, you both have been through a number of programs, whether they were accelerators or government, corporate, university programs. If you had to recommend one that was really key to your development as a founder, which would it be?
I've done several, and there's different programs for different phases. You know, there's the startup, like the MVP stage, trying to just figure it out. So you have like an incubator that can help you with that, or a local accelerator. Then you have like the building and the customer discovery and the team building and the product building to get it out there. That's another one. And that's what I use Techstars for. And then there's like the scaling or the milestone driven. And I did the NASDAQ milestone makers to work on a very specific milestone. And then there's things like plug and play that really help you to get customers. So I encourage people to research the stage that you're at, what is best for that stage. They're very stage agnostic. I mean, they're very stage specific. So that's what I recommend.
I totally agree with Dawn. That is exactly what you should do. I've also gone through several different accelerators and incubator programs. And I think that actually the very first one I went through was probably the best one for me, because it was such an alignment for me as a first-time entrepreneur, getting out there and figuring out how do I test my idea, right? How do I know what product market fit is so that I can grow and then scale? What are the actual stages, right? What is that fundraising process? It's a really great, accelerator programs solve as a really great, like, pre into the world of running a true business is, because it's 3 months of just like serious education and boot camp of stress testing your idea and growing it to the much as it can, almost in a year's worth of work in 3 months. So imagine the intensity of that. So it gives you that, and then you get to test it in front of, usually at the end of the program, you get to test it in front of an investor where they can potentially invest, right? So I thought those type of programs are helpful. I also think there are like little bit more mini programs that are now available online that you can just do on your own podcast that kind of take the same kind of approach, and you can kind of go to like startup school on your local podcast station or wherever you pull your podcast from, or even just like pitching and pitch competitions and getting it out there, because I found many a times when I would pitch in front of groups of folks, I'd get more from the audience coming to me and wanting to mentor or connect me with stuff. So really being able to not be bashful and be out there and tell your story and what you're building. So I think you can learn definitely from both, but I've been a part of the Morgan Stanley Innovation Lab. I've also been a part of, my very first one is called Seamless Accelerator Program, which was a really unique program because they gave you money and commercial objectives. So they actually gave you your first clients as well. So it was a very incredible program for me where I was able to be successful primarily. So I would definitely encourage everybody to move and get out there, because it's so much more out there for you to kind of go ahead and test those ideas out.
Thank you, ladies, so much for sharing all of this wisdom with our women founders and our aspiring entrepreneurs out there. I know they're really getting a lot out of this session, so thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for having me.
That does it for us at Women of Power Tech. We hope you got what you came for and more.
All of the conference content will be accessible on the Black Enterprise website at www.blackenterprise.com. You got a lot of work in over the last 2 days. Now it's time to play. Join us in the networking lounge, where we're going to find our tribe, let the workday vibe go, and dance it out with DJ Spinderella.
Thanks for being here, and thanks again to all of our speakers, coaches, and sponsors, especially title sponsor Ally. Stay safe and stay well. DJ Spinderella, let's